And everybody to TB Sports 27. This is your Utah Utes Season 20 regular season wrap-up show. We're going to get you all caught up on Conference Championship Week, show you any big upsets, maybe look at some bowl projections, Heisman looks, and get ready for what's going to be an exciting postseason in the world of college football. Normally, if you want to see all of these, we got every single week we do this. This is the first time we're posting it here because it is the end of the season wrap-up. We do all of these over on our Patreon page. So if you want to see all the past post-game wrap-ups, become a Clubhouse member over on Patreon at TB Sports 27, or follow along with us here on Twitch, subscribe, hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Give a shout out to our Patreon subs as well that have been checking out the college football wrap-up show. We're glad that you guys are aboard. Thank you so much for being a part of the TB Sports Clubhouse on Patreon. You guys get early video releases, ad-free, bonus content, all kinds of stuff, video requests over on our Patreon page. So we're still in a recruiting battle. We've loaded up on some big-time recruits. If you guys want to see those recruits, all those videos are up on our Patreon page. You can see what we've been doing with the recruiting. We got Nate Fudarara, who comes in. I don't know how much playing time he'll see out of 62, but it's good to stack out that roster. So get that done. We're going to stay at number 1, and we're going to look at the results from the last 2 weeks and see if there's any changing or moving around in college football. So there it is. And I had mentioned before in our last game that we were doing with Colorado that if Oklahoma got the upset, that maybe Oklahoma goes to the college football playoff at 8-4. I don't think that's happening. So then the debate would be, and we'll look at the standings, is if Utah loses, would that knock them out of the top 4? Because I don't think Oklahoma's getting in with that 8-4 record. So we'll take a look at any big moving around and any upsets, not the top 25. We want to look at scores. We want to look at the scores. We'll look at that down the line. So scores, we had 2 weeks worth of scores to look at. So we're going to go back to the Colorado week right here, and we'll look at the top 25 as we traditionally do. See if there are any big upsets, man. Nebraska, that was a shootout. Nebraska and Iowa. And Nebraska will be joining the Big Ten once again at the conclusion of this season, so maybe a little prep there. Man, Big Ten looking like the Big 12 with those points on the board. Fresno State, they're going to finish 10-2. Last year, they went to the college football playoff, and they battled us in the Fiesta Bowl. They had a near scare against San Diego State, but we're going to be doing realignment, and Fresno State's going to be interesting because with no more Pac-12, at least with it not being a power conference, where's Fresno State? Do they try to join a Big 12? Do they try to just be the dominant team in the group of 5 mega conference? Wink, wink. We'll get more into that as the episodes go on. Or do they try to do like Stanford or UCLA and join a conference like the Big East or the ACC and just have a crazy road schedule? So time will tell. Washington finishes 10-2. So they're still looking for respect at number 25. USF, also a college football playoff team last season. They get the win 24-21 in a rivalry. This is all rivalry games here. Michigan and Ohio State, no problem. Ohio State sits at number 3. We'll see who their opponent is in the Big Ten championship game. Virginia Tech all over Virginia. Tennessee, close one with Kentucky. A lot of close rivalry games here. Tennessee, I think that is your... Well, I don't know, because Tennessee's probably going to play Arkansas. We'll just have to look. You had Texas State finish 12-0, the perfect season, undefeated, which means they have no conference championship. They're most likely, barring some kind of craziness, I don't know any scenario that Texas State doesn't make the college football playoff with the way it's shaping up. We'll take a look at the top 25 in just a moment here. Army, they're upset by Boston College, 10-2. That dropped them from 10-1 to 10-2. That may have just dashed their dreams at a return to the college football playoff. Wisconsin, they're hoping at 10-2 that they can make it in. They were in the college football playoff in the inaugural season at 10-2. Indiana, big win over Penn State. Florida State whooping up on Florida, 49 points to go 8-4. They're at number 12, while you got a 2-loss Washington team all the way down. SMU, boy, they tried. They really were hoping that Texas State was going to falter. SMU was the Cotton Bowl representative of the group of 5 last season, going up against Notre Dame. And not going to happen this year, but we'll find a good bowl game for them. Syracuse with the win over Pitt. You had Miami knock off Troy. Troy's going to be moving back down to the Sun Belt. Miami at 10-2 is hoping to be one of those college football playoff teams to sneak in. Arkansas defeats LSU, so they stay at number 4 in the college football playoff. Auburn, 10-2, no problem in the Iron Bowl. USC also at 10-2, and they're going to be joining the Big Ten next season. West Virginia getting the win over Old Dominion. Cal, victory over Boise State. Boise State and Cal on the move next year. Boise State back to the Mountain West, and Cal will be joining the ACC. So we'll move over to Week 15, and I think we can just do the whole NCAA because there's not that many games in this final week. You can see Louisiana Lafayette, where they're sitting there. Miami, Ohio. Not too many big names coming across the screen. Look at poor New Mexico. Got whooped up. FCS East. Forget about it. That's a beatdown. Idaho. That's a sickos committee game right there against UNLV. Louisiana Tech getting the win over UL Monroe. New Mexico, 9-3. Nicely done. A couple of bowl-bound teams there in the Mountain West. You got UMass with the win. They're bowl-bound, possibly. And both of these teams as well. South Alabama in the Sun Belt getting the win over UAB. Texas State, you see there it was. They officially complete the undefeated regular season with the win over UTEP. 45-20 on the road. No doubt about it. SMU defeats UTSA. You had the rubber, the big wheel, the battle for the big wheel. Kent State getting the win in that one. Toledo, Eastern Michigan. The Tuskers falling to Tulane. Utah State, they're going to lose to Wyoming. A bit of an upset there, but Utah State will be going bowling. So let's look at the standings before we look at the top polls and the conference championship, whatnot. So we'll take a look at it real quick. So ACC looking like you're getting Miami and Virginia Tech. So Miami, they got a shot at a college football playoff. If they get a win and you get Arkansas or Ohio State falling, you could see Miami get in there. Miami went to the college football playoff 2 seasons ago. They lost to Navy in the opening round. In the Big East, we're going to rename them the American when we do our realignment next year, but it's going to be Army. They're going to be going toe-to-toe with USF, so a couple of college football playoff teams in the mix here that are going to be going at it. This conference is going to change quite a bit here, but Army and USF should be a good one, and they also could be an outside team that could sneak in with a Utah, Ohio State, or a Arkansas loss. Big 12, we already know. Utah finishing 12-0, going up against Oklahoma at 7-2 in the conference. In the Big 10, it's Ohio State. They finish at 11-1, and Wisconsin. So Wisconsin with a win, I would think absolutely puts them in the college football playoff. Ohio State, never been in the college football playoff, but they've won 3 national championships in our college football series here. So us, Utah, and Ohio State have probably won the most national titles of everybody. We'll look at some of the smaller conferences here. You got Conference USA champs, Texas State, and the committee's got them at number 2. So you're looking at the Bobcats going to the college football playoff. In the MAC, your MAC champions, the Kent State Golden Flashes, at 8-4. Congratulations to them. Last year it was Temple, and we put them in a high-profile New Year's Day bowl game. Maybe we'll do the same for Kent State. Mountain West, looks like we have a split conference title here. New Mexico and Utah State. Maybe, well, let's see. Who beat who during the regular season? It is Kyle. So if you want to give it the official nod, it is Utah defeating New Mexico to get the outright Mountain West championship. Utah State, that is. So there you go. So Utah State in the Pac-12, which this conference is going to look very, very, very different when we do our realignment. You got Washington still fighting for respect. Look at this. I guess it's going to be Stanford. Oh my God, what a logjam we had here. All these teams, and maybe that's why they're all bailing out. So USC at 7-2, but Stanford and Fresno, I'm guessing. And Stanford did beat Fresno, and they lost to USC, but USC had 2 losses. So down the stretch, wow. So Fresno State is going to miss out on a college football playoff opportunity. And in the SEC, it is going to be Tennessee, who finished 8-1 in the conference, just getting above Auburn, and Arkansas. And, of course, your Sun Belt champions, Louisiana. In this game, they're still Louisiana Lafayette. In real life, they go by just Louisiana. So, Heisman, we'll see. It's been kind of a mix. Clint Prater's back up there again, but it's been between Prater and Rushing and Carter and all that fun stuff in your Heisman. We will look at let's do players of the week. Let's see what we got here. There's kind of the big names. Pause it. Look at that. Guy went 9 of 15 as player of the week. Forget about it. We will look at let's look at the rankings. We'll look at the top 25 rankings here and see who might be able to sneak up. So I think looking at it, obviously here's your top 4. Everyone wins out. Arkansas, Ohio State, Utah. I think that's your college football playoff. The thing that gets interesting is if we lose, if Oklahoma wins, then you have to look at Tennessee's playing Arkansas. If Tennessee wins and Utah loses, I think Tennessee moves up. It's going to, Ohio State and Wisconsin's going to be for that spot. If Miami wins, they're going to have a say. So I think if you have Utah lose to Oklahoma and you have Ohio State, Arkansas win, and then you have a Miami win, I think Miami steals that final spot from Utah. But I think if Utah loses and then you have Ohio State or Arkansas lose, I think Tennessee or Wisconsin moves up, but I think Utah still stays in the college football playoffs. So I think if we were to lose, I feel like us falling out is gonna depend on whether or not we have a whole bunch of 2-loss teams trying to sneak in or what the situation is. Stanford as well at 10-2, playing in the final Pac-12 championship game, and Auburn, they're out of the mix at 10-2, but hoping that maybe they can be last year's Texas, not winning a conference championship and getting in. SMU still wants some attention at 10-2. USF down there as well. You guys can kind of pause and look at it at your own pace. Washington might have the biggest jump in college football history. If they beat Stanford and then we lose, Arkansas loses, and Ohio State loses, Washington can jump from number 24 all the way up into the college football playoff, because that would just be ridiculous if they didn't get in. And we'll wrap it up by looking at bowl projections. We've gone through these in depth over on Patreon, so if you want to get more in depth, we'll do it there. What we are planning on doing is after the conference championship game, we are going to download the college football revamped bowl generator. We're going to move some of the bowl games around, so we're going to film that. I don't know if it's going to be a Patreon or a YouTube video yet. I haven't quite decided. Maybe I give it to you. Give it to I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I feel like it's kind of interesting seeing that kind of stuff, but because it is kind of important, I feel like, to the season, where the other stuff is just kind of extras for Patreon folks if they want to get that kind of more in-depth look. So maybe I do record that episode where we do the bowl stuff and we go through the bowl games and that goes up on YouTube like a bowl selection show. So I think we might do that. All right, so we'll go through them kind of really quick, see if any big ones jump out again. Feel free to pause and go through these at your own pace, but they're probably going to change again. That's an exciting game right there. They're probably going to change again as we get through the conference championship game. So Washington, they're hoping for a much better bowl game than 6-6 Colorado in that scenario. Oregon and USF, that would be a solid matchup. Army as well. Maybe we put Army against maybe we match up Army with them, because that's some rough matchups there. Oklahoma and Fresno looking like they could be duking it out. A couple of 6-6 squads. The Sun Bowl. Nice thing is we'll be moving a lot of these around. We try to match up some more evenly matched bowl games as well. We don't worry about no conference affiliation or anything like that. We put teams where they deserve to go. So Rose Bowl is going to be a part of the college football playoff. So that would be Utah and Arkansas right now. But if Stanford and Miami win out, you can maybe see that being an Orange Bowl matchup between the two, or even a Fiesta Bowl, depending on where we want to put that ball game. Fiesta Bowl has Wisconsin and Tennessee. That could easily be a Peach Bowl game, perhaps, if you want to make that more local to Tennessee, or wherever you want to do it. Sugar Bowl, of course, that won't be happening because that is a college football playoff game. Orange Bowl, they put SMU in the Orange Bowl. We'll see. We'll try to find a good opponent for SMU, but that group of 5 is going to be taken up by Texas State, who is going to be going to the college football playoff. Barring some kind of craziness happening, it's looking like Texas State coming out of nowhere at 12-0. What do you guys think? Do you agree with the committee? We'll see how it all shapes out, but should Texas State at 12-0 be in the college football playoff, knowing that in the past Miami, Ohio has lost? We've seen Central Michigan, we've seen Marshall, we've seen Central Florida get put in the big dance by the committee. Hasn't worked out. 12-0 Texas State, or should Texas State have to prove themselves for a year? Should they have to go and play a Tennessee or something, and perhaps your top 25 ranking? Should it be a Utah, Ohio State, Arkansas, and, well, either if it is, then Tennessee or Wisconsin. But should Miami be saying it should be us, not Texas State? Should it be Utah, Ohio State, Arkansas, and Miami, or Utah, Ohio State, Arkansas, and Stanford over Texas State? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Should Texas State, undefeated, be in the college football playoff? It's always the debate. Everyone always points at, schedule, this, that, quality of opponent, all that fun stuff. The committee gave Miami, Ohio a shot last 2 seasons ago. Didn't work out. That's what we got this season. They've been the only one since then, because in our world, the Big East is a power conference, even though in the real world, the American Conference is not. So we've had, Army and Navy and USF from the American and things of that. And last year we had USF in the American and Fresno, but Fresno being in the Pac-16. So as far as mid-majors, they would join that mix. So here you go. Primetime game. You got Oklahoma and Utah, Army and USF, Arkansas, Tennessee, Washington, Stanford, Virginia Tech, Miami, and Wisconsin, Ohio State. And the crazy thing is, I think every single team outside of Virginia Tech could make a claim to the college football playoff if Utah were to lose, if Arkansas were to lose, if Ohio State were to lose. I think any one of these teams, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that could all be begging for a spot in the college football playoff. Eventually we're going to expand it. I think we'll do the 12-team playoff at some point, but this could be the rallying cry for the 12-team playoff situation, because you got all these teams fighting it out. Let me know the excitement level, guys. Coming up, Big 12 championship, Utah, Oklahoma.